stay tuned because for the next 60 minutes, Motorsports Unlimited is on the air. Hi, I'm Jerry Bryant, and these are the lovely ladies of motorsports. And all this hour, we're going to have 60 minutes of action-packed excitement. All kinds of exciting things will happen. And we got the famous Bill Wildt, and we got all kinds of other good stuff that's happening all this hour. Motorsports Unlimited, 60 minutes of non-stop action. So let's go to the studio right now, huh?
Thanks, Jerry.
Hi, I'm Lee Chen.
I'm Lyle Ann Seeger.
I'm Angie Kay. And we want to welcome you to Motorsports Unlimited Part 168.
Today, we're going to look at big-time drag racing.
That's right, Lee. We went to Great Lakes Dragaway in Union Grove, Wisconsin for their big Memorial Day program.
I still can't believe what I saw.
Neither can we, Lee, nor could we even begin to look at everything that was there.
From motocross motorcycle races to monster trucks to Ninja Turtles to nitro cars, the list goes on and on.
Perhaps the best way to open the show is to start with our interview of the man that puts these extravaganzas together, Broadway Bob.
I still can't believe what I saw.
There used to be in excess of a half a dozen drag strips in the Chicagoland area, and we're down to only one, and I suppose we should all be very, very glad that the guy that we've got left doing drag racing here is Broadway Bob. Broadway Bob, welcome to Motorsports Unlimited once again.
Well, thank you, Bill, but I'll tell you this, if it wasn't for all the loyal racers and fans, there wouldn't be any drag strip, and they have always came out to Great Lakes Dragaway, and I really appreciate and thank them.
Well, Bob, I know you feel that way, but I also want to say that I hope that the gratitude is two-way, because the fact of the matter is, in this area of perhaps a 10 million population, the Grove is the last drag strip.
That's true, and we get a lot of letters thanking us for having the track, and I think it's so nice. It takes two things. It takes the fans, it takes the racers, and it takes the track. And since I love drag racing, this track's always going to be here as long as I got anything to say about it.
Well, we are all very encouraged to hear that, and as a matter of fact, what you've got going on here today, I guess, is what we could call a typical Broadway Bob spectacular. Tell us about it. I mean, there is action everywhere.
There's nothing we don't have here when it comes to motorsports. I'll tell you, the easiest way, for example, we have the jets, funny cars, nitro machines, wheel standers. I got motocross racing today. I've got anything in
monster trucks,
monster car crushing trucks. We got two jets burning cars, melting them right down. Like I said, anything that anybody wants to see, and it's not just a few-hour show. Anybody who comes to any of my races, the races start at 2 o'clock. They're lucky if they get out of there within 5 or 6 hours.
Right, and of course what I meant before when I said about how we all do owe you a debt of gratitude, it's not just the fact that you're determined to make sure drag racing exists in this area. You're also exactly the right guy, because you seem to have an inherent understanding that you've got to do more than wheels and gears and pistons. You have to entertain.
That's right. That's why another reason we're trying to make it into a family thing. We've got Vorion, which is that robot that transforms from a jet into a monster. We've got Beastron here, a tank truck that transforms also. We've got the Teenage Ninja Turtles, which are bringing the families out. We never charge for children under 12 years old. We keep our prices moderate. For use, we always cut half-price deals on used tickets, and we want to make it a family thing. It's something that everybody can afford and bring the family out to really enjoy the great sport of drag racing.
Okay, it is a Broadway Bob spectacular, no doubt about it, and we are going to try to capture at least a little bit of it, but I've got to tell you that among my favorites are the jet cars, and we happen to be standing in front of a couple of really nice ones. I understand these are from Texas?
These are both from Texas, the Lone Star Lightning and I forget the name of the other one. But
Thunder.
All together, Texas Thunder. We have 10 jet funny cars and dragsters here.
Yeah, I didn't really realize that we had 10 in the country. I'm surprised you have that many.
Well, we try and get the best and the fastest ones, like good names too, like Doug Rose with the Green Mamba, Aggie Hendricks.
A local Chicago person, Aggie Hendricks.
Bill Matteo from Chicago with, we used to be the Chicago Fire, and now he likes to go under his own name. And many more, the Black & Decker machine, Roger Gustin, the powerful, the funny car. Every good funny car in the country is here.
Okay, what I'm going to do is we've got a special treat for our audience, and we've been playing this up a little bit the last few weeks. Is we've got a brand new girl on our show named Li Chin, and she's from Inner Mongolia, China. Only been in this country a year and a half, and the town that she's from didn't have any private vehicles at all. So this is absolutely staggering to her. I'm going to walk over. Just stay put for a second, Bob. Li Chin, what do you think? Is this a car you're standing in front of?
I don't think so. I still don't believe it's a car. I think I come to outer space.
You think this is outer space? Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk to these fellas in a minute. Bob, I don't know if you heard her or not. She says she didn't think these were cars. She thinks this is outer space.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a little bit of everything at Great Lakes Dragaway.
It really is. Now, we are going to try to take in as much as we can here today. I hope our audience is going to enjoy this show. Broadway Bob, the guy that's keep drag racing alive here in the Chicagoland area, and he wants me to add very quickly that it's the racers and fans that are keeping it alive. Bob, thanks for joining us, and we're going to have fun here today.
Thank you, Bill. We race every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Great Lakes from now till November. A lot of big shows. Be out here, folks.
We'll be right back. You haven't been to a drag strip before, right?
No, I haven't.
These have got to be the oddest looking cars you've ever seen.
No, I'm familiar with these cars. I've just never actually been to a drag strip.
Oh, is that right? Well, let me take you over and introduce you to somebody. Lyle Ann, this is Danny Wright. Danny Wright, have I got it right?
Right, correct.
You're from Texas.
From Dallas, Texas.
Now, I see your name in many areas on these cars, so it must mean that you had something to do with building them as well as driving it?
Correct.
You built them?
I helped build them.
Okay, who else built them?
Tommy O'Brien, Charlie Hand. We have a whole crew in a shop in Dallas where we do nothing but build these cars.
Just jet cars?
That's all we build.
Well, you've got two of them here. Does that mean you have more of them?
We have another car here that we built and just finished about a month ago, and they're here putting their first runs on that car.
Okay, I couldn't help but notice that you've actually built your own afterburners.
That's true.
Lyle Ann, do you have any idea what an afterburner is?
I should know, but I don't know.
No, wait a minute. Why should you know?
Well, because my boyfriend always tells me everything about this, considering he's a mechanic.
Okay. Well, I know somebody that does know about afterburners. Li Chin, tell our audience about afterburners.
I don't know.
You don't know what an afterburner is?
No, I have no idea.
Well, you're going to see it a little later on. In fact, if we do this show right after we get done with this interview, we're going to have a little action footage of these cars in action. Let's walk around towards the back. Danny and Lyle Ann, both of you, let's keep going. Now, essentially what an afterburner is taking a bucket of fuel and throwing it into the exhaust.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is that about right, Danny? Do I have it right?
It's essentially correct.
Yeah, it's essentially correct, but it's a little harder than that, isn't it?
Considerably harder. You take into account airflow, ignition, everything else.
Yeah, and one of the most difficult things we found when we fooled with this stuff a little bit was actually, I presume you used the stainless steel tubing and you had to drill all the little tiny holes in it?
Correct.
Go through a lot of drills?
Quite a few.
Did you figure out a way to punch them in?
No, we still drill.
We tried punching, we couldn't make it work.
Yeah, we use a lot of drill bits.
Okay, now you've got a lot of folks here, obviously, that help you with these cars, and I want to make sure that we talk to each one of them. So if you guys will hold tight here, I'm going to run around and talk to the crew. And Chuck, I hope you can follow me, that I'm not going too fast for you here. Okay, all the way from Texas, this is.
Okay, right.
And if you're not from Texas, you can say so.
I'm from Texas.
Okay, because I think Danny must be you
That's
related.
my husband.
Okay, because he said he was from Texas, so I think it was a fair enough guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, do you have anything to do with working on the cars?
No, just kind of moral support.
Okay, well, that's you. The ladies always enhance the pictures, that's for sure. And you are?
Gary Bramer, Dallas,
And-
Texas.
And Gary, what do you have to do with the cars?
I help build the cars.
What's your specialty?
Fitting tubes.
You have anything to do with the afterburners we were just talking about?
I didn't hear what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
We were talking about the afterburners on the car and the fact that it's like throwing a bucket of fuel in the exhaust.
Just about. Burns it fast.
Sure does burn it fast. Now, your name is?
Hi, I'm Tammy Bailey Seltzer.
You are definitely from Texas.
That's right.
Boy, can I hear that. Now, what do you have to do with the cars?
Marvin's my husband, and as far as what I have to do with the cars, I help wax the cars, and that's about it.
Well, that's okay. Those are all important contributions to motorsports, too. I'm sure you'll agree. This is a visual sport.
That's right, it sure is.
Okay, let me step past you, and I apologize for stepping in front of your camera shot, and you are.
Mark Goldus.
And what do you do?
I help crew the cars, and we build them in the shop as well.
Okay, do you have a specialty, or you kind of do everything?
I do everything.
How long have you been doing this?
About 5 years.
Okay, that's a long time. And you guys have, what, 3 jet cars, I understand?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful pieces of work, by the way. Whoever does what, you're all doing it very well. These are gorgeous pieces of work. And now we've got a driver here, and this is?
Marvin Seltzer.
Marvin, how long have you been driving?
5 years in the jets.
Now, do you have anything to do with building them?
Oh, yes.
No such thing as just driving, right?
No. You have to know everything about these things.
Okay, I wonder if you could just lean over and tell Angie, if you were driving this car right now, what would you have to do? What would the controls you have to do?
There's 2 things that's real important. This right here is a throttle, which raises the engine up and down just like an accelerator on a car. The button behind it is the fuel feed for the afterburner. That has to remain on during a run. This is the hot streak, which lights that, which makes the fire come out. High pressure switch here makes the car run faster. And you've got your gauges there. The thing spins at about 20,000 RPM, so you got to keep a constant, view of all this.
Angie, what do you think? Now, with that explanation, can you drive it?
Sure. Let's go.
Have you ever seen anything like this run?
No, I haven't. I've seen it in footage, but not live. So I'm looking forward to this.
You're going to enjoy this. Anyhow, guys, I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. We wish you the best of luck. These are beautiful cars, so even if they don't run, they were well worth taking a look at. Good luck. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
Let's take a look at Danny Wright and Texas Thunder in action.
You see what I mean about not believing what I saw? Let's look at Lone Star Lightning in action.
As we explained earlier, we couldn't possibly capture everything that was going on, so Bill decided to focus on the jets. It's a rare privilege to have so many of the best jet cars in the nation in one place at one time that Bill wanted to take advantage of it. Let's meet the only Wisconsin team, Dennis Ruslansky and Crossfire.
Well, I think what we have here is a Wisconsin-based jet car?
Yes, from Racine, Wisconsin.
And what's your name?
Dennis Ruslansky.
I think I better get everybody's name. And yours?
Claudia Sorensen from...
And yours?
Franco Kurga.
And you guys are all from Wisconsin?
Yes.
What did you run today?
Yesterday, the best I've run was a 6:15, 255.
Wow, good pass. Now, did you win your run today?
I lost a run today. I won 5 runs yesterday.
Do you get to run again?
Yeah, we're going to run 2 more times.
Okay, great. Give me a little bit of an idea of what we're looking at, and maybe our cameraman can get a shot of the engine. What kind of an engine?
It's a General Electric J85. It's a Learjet styled engine. This engine came from Craig Arfon's. He died last year trying to make a water speed record attempt, and this was the spare engine for his boat.
And what kind of a chassis?
The chassis was built by Dennis Rolane here in Kenosha.
Yeah, fine craftsman. We've done a show from his shop already.
Yes. Then I built the rest of the car from there.
And what do you hope to accomplish with it?
Oh man, I'd love to run some 550s.
What is your career goal?
Basically, I just wanted to race again. I've been racing ever since high school, and I had an accident that put me out. And this car got me back into a level of racing that I feel is professional.
Well, I've got to ask, I didn't hear, but I presume this is your wife?
It's my girlfriend.
It's your girl. What do you think?
I love it.
And is your dad down here?
Yes.
What do you think what your son's doing here?
Wonderful.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, listen, we can't even hear ourselves with this speaker. I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us, and I want to wish you good luck for the rest of the day. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
You'll have to watch carefully. Dennis Ross Lansky and Crossfire are on the right side of your screen as they begin this race.
It's hard to believe they are cars. Now let's meet Chicago's Bill Wildt.
Well, we have not seen a much more beautiful dragster. Standing next to me is
Bill Mateo.
And where are you from, Bill?
Chicago Heights, Illinois.
And who's standing here with you? Matter of fact, he can probably speak for himself, right?
Tim Kresmer from Chicago Heights.
Bill, this is an absolutely beautiful piece of work. I had occasion to talk to you just a few minutes ago. I haven't met you before, but apparently you know somebody that I used to know, Lee Austin.
Yeah, I used to work with Lee. Aluminum work.
Right, our audience should know that Lee Austin was a very gifted, you could almost call him an aluminum artist. I think you'd agree?
Yeah, he sure was.
Brilliant guy, but apparently you learned well.
I tried.
This is all your work, the aluminum work on it?
Yeah.
What kind of an engine?
It's a Pratt & Whitney JT12.
Okay, now I have a little bit of a secret for our audience. You've got another one in the trailer behind us.
Yeah, it's a brand new one. We just finished it Saturday.
Yes, and what did you run?
The first pass was a 551.
At what speed?
I think it was 287.
And what have you run with this one?
This one last Labor Day ran 299.
Why 2 jet cars? Did you have some new ideas you wanted to try?
Yeah, and make them lighter. And
good question, by the way. What does this weigh?
1350.
Very light car. And what about the new one?
It's probably around 1250. I haven't weighed it yet.
Okay, it's an absolutely beautiful piece of work. Do you campaign all around the country?
Just the Midwest.
Just in the Midwest area. Lilan, what do you think?
Well, it's beautiful. I really like it.
Okay, now I'm going to walk down. Let me just pass in front of you guys here for a minute. Lee Chin, you saw the jet cars run for the first time just a few minutes ago, right?
Yes.
What did you think?
I think Americans are all crazy.
It's kind of true. We are a little bit crazy. I want you to walk towards the back here a little bit. Just keep right on going. What do you suppose this is and this is?
I think it's a parachute.
Very good. You're learning. In fact, this car has 2 parachutes.
Yes. At the end of the race, they will shoot their parachutes. I saw that.
Very good. Exactly correct. Let's go back into the picture. Lyle Ann is learning. I want to mention one more thing here before we go in this interview. It's very hard to hear with the PA system. I hope we're getting all of this audio in. If the audience, in fact, we can direct our cameraman's attention to the front end of this car. Bill, I'm assuming that's all aluminum?
No, the front is fiberglass.
Okay, you built the front. I was looking at those complex curves, and I says, my God, this guy's doing this out of aluminum.
No, it's out of fiberglass.
Okay, and what do you do on the car?
Just about everything. Just giving him a hand all winter. And
okay, final question, and this is the most important thing. Why do you do this?
I enjoy it.
Any big aspirations. Do you do this for a living or do you do anything else?
I got a dump truck too that I run sometimes in the summer.
Okay, and why do you do this?
Just as a hobby, it's a lot of fun, very interesting. Meet a lot of different people.
Okay, I was just curious if you had some aspirations perhaps to end up, say, Kenny Bernstein-ish or something like that.
No, I just like building stuff, work with my hands.
Well, I'll tell you something, it is an absolutely, I can tell the audience, what do you think, Lyle Ann? Exceptional piece of work?
It's very beautiful.
It really is nice. Girls?
Well, I don't know if you asked them, but how long does it take, for you to build something like this?
Good question, Janet. How long?
4 months.
That's it? 4 months? Boy, that's really quick to build something like that in 4 months. Okay, listen, while the loudspeaker is off for a moment, I want to wish you guys the best of luck. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back. We've got more jet cars to show you.
Bill Matteo's car was an exceptional piece of workmanship. Now let's watch it in action. He's on the right-hand side of your screen as the race begins.
Watching the jets run is something you have to see in person to really appreciate. It's thunder and lightning right in front of you. While not everyone gets to sit in one of these wild machines, Chuck Van Dyke let me try his on for size. Let's join Chris and meet him.
Welcome back. With me right now is, would you tell me your name, please?
Chuck Van Dyke.
And also?
Dan Buzzle.
Dan, where are you from?
Worth, Illinois.
And what about you?
I'm from Florida.
Okay, now we want to give us a little bit of an explanation of what type of car this is.
This is a jet dragster, and it's the only jet car in the country powered by a Rolls-Royce jet engine. And the thing has got 8,000 horsepower and 8,500 pounds of thrust. And I have on an Air Force base turned it all the way up with 327 miles an hour in 5.13 seconds with it. But you can't do that on any tracks because the shutoff area is too short. You'd run off the end of the track.
Really? Did you do most of the work or all the work on the car yourself?
Yes, I did. I built the car myself.
What did you start out with? You couldn't have started out with a jet car. Where did your racing career start?
It started when I was 16. I used to drive stock cars, and then I went into sprint cars, and then I started drag racing with a car and then a motorcycle and a Corvette and a Conno Rail, and then AA fuel dragster I ran for a while, and then I went into jets about 6 years ago.
Dan, what role do you play with the car?
I'm Chuck's crew chief.
Have you ever raced yourself?
No, not yet.
How are you doing today with the car?
I'm doing real good. The car performs real good for me.
Do you have any more runs to do yet today?
I have one more run to make today, but I keep the car turned down because I don't want no problems with the engine or running off the track at the end.
Can you tell me roughly what does it cost fuel-wise to do one run with a jet car?
Well, the fuel is approximately $2.50 a gallon. It'll burn 30 gallons just going down the track one time, and we use Jet A #1 fuel.
Well, it doesn't seem that expensive, though.
Yes, it is.
I mean, when you're doing it all the time, though, right?
Well, it costs that much all the time, because I use the same fuel because this Rolls-Royce engine is touchy and I can't use no trashy fuel like diesel fuel or stuff like that. I either use kerosene or jet fuel.
Do you travel all around the country with the car?
Yes, I do. All over the country.
Okay, great. Bill, did you want to say something? Caught you off guard, huh?
Come on, don't I always want to say something? I got one question to ask. Lyle Ann, you've been watching the jet cars run today. This is the first time you've seen anything like this, right?
Yes, it is. In person, it's the first time I've ever seen anything like this.
Okay, now that you've had an opportunity to sit in this car, do you think you can drive it?
I don't think so.
Well, wait just a minute. What was your name again, sir?
Chuck Van Dyke.
Chuck, step over here. Now I want you to lean over and tell her exactly what she has to do if she was running this car. Just lean over and tell her.
Well, the first thing they do, they plug the umbilical cord in back there. When you get ready to start, they have to put 40 pounds of air pressure in the tanks to fool the fuel control, because if there's no air pressure in the tanks, it's like an airplane. It thinks it's on a taxiway. But when you put 40 pounds of air in the fuel tanks, it makes the fuel control think it's 35,000 feet in the air, so it starts pumping a lot of fuel in. And then as soon as they get the air in the tanks, you flip this master switch on like this, and then they start turning it over. And then when this little tachometer here gets up to 700 RPMs, then you push this the start lever forward.
Wait just a minute, Chuck. Lyle Ann, how many RPMs? You got to be getting all this because you're making the next pass.
No, I'm not.
700 RPM.
700 RPM.
Okay, pay attention now.
Push the start lever forward at 700 RPMs here, then you watch the big tack. When this big tack comes around here and gets to 3,000 RPMs, then the car will run on its own. When it gets to 3,000 RPMs, you wave your hand, and the guy will pull the umbilical cord plug out and throw it in the truck, and then the car is running on its own then. And then this is a fuel lever right here. You're ready to do your fire shows. So you push this fuel lever forward, and there's an afterburner button on your right foot down there. When you push the fuel lever forward, it squirts a big stream of fuel into the tailpipe. You hit the afterburner button, it blows a big flame out the back. You do it for a couple of seconds, and you pull the lever back. And then after you pull it back, you wait a second or two, let the engine cool just a little bit, and then you push it forward and hit the afterburner button again. You do about 4 or 5 of those fire shows. And then here's the throttle. You bring the throttle up here to 6,000 RPMs. And then you push the fuel lever forward and hit the afterburner button again, and it blows the engines up higher, so it blows the flame out harder and blows it back about 50 feet farther back. You do 2 or 3 of those, and then you push the throttle farther forward and you bring it clear up to 8,000 RPMs here. And then you take the fuel lever and you shove it forward and hit the afterburner button at the same time, and then jerk the fuel lever back, because otherwise it'll take off. Because you're doing burner pops, and that's the big loud booms like a cannon. You go boom, you hit the afterburner button, boom, 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 like that. And then when you're ready to pull up to the line race, then you ease on up to the line like that, and you lock the brakes up with your left foot. You lock the brakes up, and then you push the throttle all the way forward and bring it up to 107%. And then when the light turns green, you shove this fuel lever forward, and you hit the afterburner button and let off the brake all at the same time, and you're gone.
Okay, now have you got all that, Lyle Ann?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you shove the fuel lever forward and you're going down the track like that, but when you shove this fuel lever forward and hit the afterburner button, you shove it forward and hit the afterburner button, you put your hands right on there. You don't let go of them, because you wouldn't have time to get them back.
Oh, okay.
And as you're approaching the lights like that, you jerk the whole thing back, and this is a parachute lever. It shuts it off, and it pops the parachute and shuts the fuel and engine and everything off and pops the parachute.
What do you think, Lyle Ann? Can you handle the next pass?
Oh, sure.
She's real light. She'll be really fast. Angie?
Give us all a car and we'll have a powder puff race now that we got this whole technique down straight, right?
Now that you got it down, Christine.
How long does this whole process take?
About 1.5 to 2 minutes.
What about you, Lee Chin? Were you paying attention there?
Yeah, I paid some attention, but I don't think I will ever drive a car like this. I still don't believe it's a car.
You don't think it's a car?
Yeah, I still don't believe it's a car.
Well, it's an X15, right?
Right.
Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us, guys. Folks, we've got more jet cars to show you. This is an unbelievable program out here today. Is there anything you want to mention, Chuck?
Yes, by the way, this engine come out of a Viper 522 business jet that weighs 28,000 pounds and will go over 700 miles an hour. My car only weighs 1,500 pounds, so it'd probably go over 1,000 miles an hour if you could keep it on the ground. But when you go through the quarter-mile lights at close to 300, it's starting to get off the ground trying to take off, so you don't want to run it over a quarter mile.
Well, but if you wanted to redesign this thing as, for example, a Bonneville car or something like that, it's just a matter of doing the technology, right? I think you'd agree.
If you built the car for the Bonneville salt flats like a Bullet, you could probably run over 1,000 miles an hour with it, because it's just starting to cook when it gets to the quarter mile.
Fun then, isn't it?
Yeah, it sets you back in the seat about 5.5 G's force on takeoff, and as the car gets lighter, as you go down the track still got the same amount of thrust, 8,500 pounds of thrust. When you go through the lights, you're pulling about 10 G's force, and that's about all you can stand.
Yeah, it does sound like it's a heck of a ride. Anyhow, folks, we've got a ton more jet cars here today. This is one heck of a performing car, and there are a lot of them. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Let's watch Chuck Van Dyke and X15 in action.
No, I didn't make that run. I don't think I'm quite ready yet.
We had all we could do to stand near the track and watch. Now it's Jan Mailer's turn to try a jet on for size.
Hi, I'm Angie Kay, and I'm speaking with, would you like to tell us your name, sir?
Doug Rose.
And you're from?
I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but now I'm out of Tampa, Florida.
Okay, how often have you raced here?
This car is 21 years old, and I've been doing this for over 25 years. I drove the original jet-powered Green Monster.
Okay, what is this turn?
Well, normally it runs about 250 to 275, and we held the record for about 5 years at 298.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the car?
Well, the engine's out of an old Navy fighter plane from back in the 50s, and not many people have ever heard of a F-7U Cutlass, but we picked up a bunch of these engines surplus and decided to build a jet car.
Okay, sure.
Do you build the car around the engine, or do you have the car and stick in the engine?
Actually, I built it around me and tagged the engine on the back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, how much longer would you want to race these cars? Is there a different class you'd like to move into, a different type of car at all, or are you happy with these?
No, I'm quite happy with the jets. We're dreaming up something new that'll run over 300 pretty soon, so we're sort of saving up for that.
Okay, Bill, is there anything you'd like to say?
Hold it, I think.
Jan has a question.
Go ahead, Jan.
Now, what happens if you have trouble with the parachutes when you want to stop?
There's two parachutes. We pull this one first. If it breaks or burns off, we hit this one, which is emergency shut-off, and also a parachute.
Oh. Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
No, you have to get the microphone close.
Okay, why do you have a snake over your head of your car? Well, now every car is a car.
Well, that was our pet, but we had to have it embalmed and stuffed because it couldn't stand all the heat.
Here you go, Bill.
Okay, Doug, I've really got really only one question for you. I understand that they've got a speed limit at this track for the jet cars.
Well, there's a speed limit on jets of 290 miles an hour. We're not really happy with it because there are some cars that will run over 300 and do it safely.
Right, I understand that, but of course there is always a problem. These are not light cars, and it's hard to slow them down. And those strips that have a short shutdown area, I imagine it is a problem, no?
Well, with the parachutes that the jet cars are using, the real fast ones, we have special packs that we make with 2 or 3 little parachutes in it. And of course, with this heavy car, I use a 20-footer. These things are used to stop jet airplanes with, which are much heavier than we are, and land at pretty high speeds. So braking isn't really a problem. That's been worked out. It's just the stability on some of the cars.
Okay, so in other words, you feel you could safely make a 300-mile-an-hour pass here?
I originally, when we first built this car, we made some test runs at an airport in New Mexico of over 300 miles an hour. Although this car is aerodynamically good for it, the weight of the car keeps it on the ground, and we didn't have any stopping problem at all.
Okay, well listen, thanks for spending a little time with us. I understand you've got to go and burn a car down.
Right, a long time ago, people used to ask, what happens if a car got behind you? So we started to find out. We put a car back there, and then we blew it away, and then we put another car back there chained to the car. And the car has so much power and heat that it melts a hole right through the car, like a giant cutting torch.
And that's become kind of a entertainment attraction of these cars.
Right, it just kind of shows people how powerful these engines really are.
Okay, we won't hold you up any longer. I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. Good luck burning down the car, and of course with the more pure form of racing. Folks, we've got more jet cars to look at. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Yes, I'm finally convinced these are cars.
That's right, Lee. You'll eventually see many kinds of strange-looking cars on Motorsports Unlimited, but it's not that Americans are crazy, just American guys.
Okay, just the guys.
For proof, let's watch Doug Rose's Green Mamba in action.
He's on the right side of your screen at the beginning of the race.
Now let's meet the only female jet dragster driver.
Wait a minute. Angie just said only the guys were crazy.
The workmanship of these these cars absolutely has to be seen to be appreciated, but there's something extra special about this particular jet car effort. We have a female driver. This is Aggie Hendricks. Am I saying it right, Aggie?
Yeah, it's Aggie Hendricks, short for Agnes, and I'm the non-feathered version of this act here.
I was going to say, you've gotten right in line with the girls, and I understand you asked for another costume.
They told me they have one. I declined. Thank you.
Listen, the question is obvious. Certainly, women can certainly do anything men can do and all that, but I think you would concede that very few women actually participate in really racing of all kinds, but particularly drag racing and jet car competition. Can you give me an idea of what your motivation is?
Well, primarily, I answered an opportunity that knocked, and we all have to make a living, so this is how I chose to make mine. It is primarily a male-dominated sport, and there's not much you can do about that. Try and operate fairly, I run safely, and I kiss a winner and hug a loser.
Well, clearly you have some advantage in that area, but let me ask you a couple of questions. When you were very young, for example, 12, 13, 14 years old, were you the kind of a youngster that was taking engines apart and putting them together, technical interests maybe like us guys, or no?
No, absolutely not. I was quite the opposite. Before I came into this business, I operated a tropical plant store, which was rather sedate by comparison.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm just kind of wondering what, it must be an interesting path that got you finally into the seat of one of the world's fastest jet cars, if not the fastest.
Well, this is technically the fastest jet car. I've run 293.35 miles an hour, and I try and make the transition with an open mind, and that's why I got into it. And here I am. You know, I've run for 10 years now, and it's my 10th anniversary, and I can't believe that I've been doing it as long as I have, but I believe that it's a funny kind of draw that keeps you in the business.
Okay, let me ask you this. What do you find compelling about it? And I guess the question is something like this. Myself, I am just absolutely attracted to mechanical things and things that are technical, and then I like the added twist of the theatrical end of it that motorsports offers. I don't hear from you that the technical part is that, well, you tell me.
My boyfriend Wayne Knuth designed this car, and he and I built the car. So as far as the technical end of it, I feel comfortable with that, and it was important to me to get to know what the workings of the car was all about so that I could remove the fear of the unknown, essentially. As far as the theatrics, I agree that the jet cars are the Barnum and Bailey of drag racing, and you know, we come up with colorful cars and put on a lot of fire and smoke and show, and that's our deal. But we still run competitively, and you know, they say, well, you know, you still have a guaranteed paycheck. In a way, yes, we do, but I don't know anybody that likes to lose, and there's still certainly egos involved in the business.
Oh yeah, I don't think the desire to win has anything to do with how much money is on the line, and that doesn't make any difference if NASCAR or Formula One or go-karts. It really, everybody wants to win.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and if you don't, you know, you learn how to lose graciously too. There's not a problem there.
Well, the way I like to say it is I've felt that way for a long time. I think there's a joy in participation. No one likes to win more than I do, but you just don't do this stuff if all you like is winning, because you're going to be miserable a lot of the time.
Well, I think I've been self-employed for many, many years, and this is a continuation of that. I don't know if I could ever work for somebody else, but I think with doing this, you're still self-employed. Although you keep your own hours, they're long hours. You know, the racetrack is the finale of it, but you still travel. We spend the majority of our time traveling from racetrack to racetrack, and that's not the easy part of it.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe you can fill a little more. I understand in fact, we were just talking to the guy with the green Mamba. He says there's a 290-mile-an-hour speed limit on the jets now?
That's correct. We agreed to run in the range of what the top fuelers are running. There's a lot of the tracks that were built in the 60s and 70s, and they're not designed for 300-mile-an-hour cars. This car, fortunately, I've always had good luck with the parachute coming out. I've never had parachute failure. When you're cruising along at 290 miles an hour, you want to have plenty of running room to stop, and some of them don't have as long shutdown areas as others.
Okay, I would be absolutely remiss if I spent the whole time talking, because you're a female competitor, talking to you about your motivation and all that, and I didn't ask you anything technical. You know what I would be accused of? What kind of engine?
General Electric makes it. It's a J85-17. It's a military use is in a T-38 or an F-5 Freedom Fighter. Its commercial use used to be in a Learjet. We purchase some military surplus, and we strip the engine. We take off all the de-icing and what they call customer air, and we make our own afterburning systems for them and hop up the fuel control. Essentially, we've had people come out from the work on the engines all the time, and they go, "Oh, you're screwing it up here. You're making a mistake." We said, "Well, you know what we're doing is we're running the afterburner for 5 seconds, 6 seconds. We're in the plane. You know, if you run what we ran for the afterburner here." In that application, you'd probably drip off the back of the airplane because it's not designed for that application.
Absolutely, and this is obviously what we're doing with any kind of engines we use are very special applications with very limited lifespan. We're not concerned about 100,000 hours, I'm sure.
Right. We're especially concerned about that because the parts availability is becoming scarcer. A lot of the parts are being sold to friendly foreign governments.
Rather than friendly American citizens.
And we're friendly.
Right. Lee Chen, it looked like you were going to ask a question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you.
I really want to ask a question because I came from this country just 1.5 years ago. Women in China, certainly have take a different role in the society. So it really amazed me that you change your own career or you decide to do this by yourself. So how's your friends, your family think about you're in a men's world or to compete in this sport?
Great question.
I was raised in a unisexual environment. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and we all were raised to do the same work, and there was no real differentiation there. So I came into this sport with that attitude. I was the first woman licensed in a jet-powered vehicle. So that was a little more difficult, and I was scrutinized a little harder, but I've always played fair and safe over the years, and I think I've gained respect from my peers. I've gotten a lot of support from a lot of the women that are out there, and I've gotten equal amounts of support from the men that are spectators, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, what has the reaction of the males? Although I kind of know the answer to the question. My experience in motorsport is we welcome everybody, and I like to think we treat them all equally. Would you say it's?
Well, there's a point at which gender doesn't enter into it anymore, and even though I think that there's little, subtle undercurrents as far as the gender thing is concerned, we don't make it our main thing. We're out there performing equally. It's not a ladies' tea anymore.
And by the way, you are from the Chicago area, am I correct?
I've lived in Chicago for 12 years. I'm originally from Western Canada.
Okay, because I know the Odyssey cars are generally from in fact, at one time from the south side of Chicago?
We're still on the south side. We live by Midway Airport.
Okay, well listen, the best of luck to you today. I understand you're done for today?
That's correct, yeah, we're finished.
What's next for you guys?
We're going to run Quebec City, Quebec.
Well listen, good luck, best of luck. It was a real pleasure meeting you. We've certainly read about you in the magazines a lot. Folks, I'm not going to say lady drag racer, I'm just going to say jet car driver. Fair enough?
Thank you.
Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Do all the jet car drivers kiss the winners and hug the losers?
I don't think so, and I don't think Aggie loses often. Let's watch her. She's on the right side of your screen.
You have to see these cars to believe it. Let's meet Chuck Shear and check out Chicago Rush.
Welcome back. Right now we're standing in front of a beautiful jet dragster called Chicago Rush, correct?
Correct.
And you want to tell us your name?
Dan Sullivan.
And Dan, I understand you're the owner of the car.
Yes, I'm the main man behind getting it financed and getting it built. So I got a good driver, Chuck Shears.
Have you ever driven the car?
Not this one, it's brand new. We just got it going this weekend.
Have you ever driven a jet car?
Oh, yes. 12 years ago I used to drive for Lee Austin, the Avenger jet dragster.
What made you decide to step out and become the owner rather than the driver?
Maybe I got older, but if I lose a few pounds, Chuck might have a problem because I might get back in and drive it myself.
Oh, so he feeds you, right?
Yeah. He's buying me beer.
Okay, where are you from?
Southside Chicago by Midway Airport.
Okay, and your name?
Chuck Shear.
And where are you from, Chuck?
Chicago, Illinois.
Tell me what it's like to drive one of these jet dragsters.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. There's a real lot of G-force. Then it's also fun stopping when the parachutes hit. So it's another ride starting and stopping, and it's a great feeling.
Because when we first came here and the jet cars were running, it's unbelievable. We were in the van, and the van is shaking. And what's it like inside the car?
Well, when you do them burner pops, it slams your head against, the roll cage, and it feels real strong. And then when you light that burner and go for a ride, it gets blurry towards the end, and you just click it off, and then you got another ride when the chute hits.
I imagine you have to be a little bit, maybe take care of yourself physically, do any kind of exercises or anything like that, for your neck muscles?
No, I haven't yet. I'm going to start.
You're sorry you didn't, right? Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Bill?
Well, once again, I am pleased to see that we have another jet dragster from Chicago, right?
Yes, by Midway Airport.
Right. Matter of fact, do you know the Odyssey people?
We live about 6 blocks from them, and we party with them a little bit.
Okay, so maybe it's contagious down in that area.
Oh, yes. Wayne and Aggie, I was involved with them 12 years ago, and I said I want to get back into it, so we finally did.
Okay, now before we go any farther with this interview, I always want to make sure the people that do the real work get an opportunity to be on camera. Hold on a minute, Jana. Hold the thought. First of all, can you tell us your name, sir?
I'm Dan Sullivan Jr.
Where are you from, Dan?
Southside Chicago. Still live at home.
How do they rope you into this?
Relative.
What do you do on the car?
Fuel it up, help pack the chutes, help drive the truck.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's fun. A lot of fun coming out to the racetrack, sunny day. Girls.
I agree. Race cars, pretty girls, nothing like it. And your name?
Tom Olive.
Where are you from, Tom?
Tinley Park.
How do they rope you into it?
I've been a long friend of Chuck and Dan's for many years and just always helped out on the cars.
He's the main sponsor, too.
Say what now?
He's the main sponsor, too.
Main sponsor, you have a company?
ABC Tool Rental in Chicago.
I'm sorry, ABC Tool Rental?
Yes, in Chicago.
Well, listen, I don't even see it on the car. They're jipping you.
It's fresh paint. It was just put on 2 days ago.
You're a pretty understanding sponsor. Terrific. Okay, your name, sir?
I'm Red Sullivan. And
Sullivan, I just heard another Sullivan name here.
Right, I am not related to Dan Sullivan. We just so happen to race together.
Just going to make the interviewer look bad.
Yeah.
Which isn't hard, by the way. I'm sorry, go ahead. What do you do on the car?
I don't do a lot on the car, but on the other car, which is the Chicago Rush funny car, I'm responsible for the functions on that car.
Same team?
It's the same team, and I want to mention that today we went 7:41, which is the fastest the Chicago Rush car has ever run. We are the fastest injected alcohol car in the world. And thanks to Chuck Shear here and Dan Sullivan and the rest of the crew and ABC Tool.
Well, I'll tell you what, it does not surprise me that we've got another Chicago area team that is so successful and effective, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Your name?
Tom Sullivan.
Wait, what is this? I was going to say, this is not related?
No, I'm related to Dan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's related, but not related to the guy you're standing. Does this make any sense to you?
Yeah, it makes a little bit of sense.
Okay, what do you do on a car?
I pack the chute. I go down the return road and bring it back. And
you pack the chute. What happens if you don't do it right?
You don't stop.
Simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Listen, how old are you?
15.
15. You're a very young guy. Are you attracted to this for yourself, or you just kind of get roped into it, or do you genuinely enjoy this stuff yourself?
I kind of got rubbed in, but I also like the sport.
You like motorsports anyway?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, I think Janet had a question back here.
I'm going to ask the driver a question, Bill. When you say the G-force, what does that mean, or how does that feel?
Janet, wait a minute. Okay, explain G-force.
It's just a thrust pushing you back against the motor where you can't pick your head up or do nothing.
Tell her what happens if you turn your head when you hit the button and go.
What happens if you hit your head, if you turn your head?
Looking at the crowd, and when you hit the button to go, you can't turn your head straight because the G-force is so strong. So you got to be...
Bad mistake. I say, like when you're on an amusement ride or something like that.
Right, the G-forces are so hard that you better have your head pointed in the right direction, as well, I would imagine, as the front wheels, too.
Correct.
Obviously, the jet cars, there's no question about it, are crowd pleasers. They're extremely spectacular. But I'm sure that you guys didn't start doing this. And I want you to go to the very first thing you were involved with in racing. What was that?
Oh, I had a 62 Ford back in '66. I took to Union Grove drag strip and got hooked on drag racing.
No go-karts or anything in the background? Mini bikes, anything?
I used to build engines and motor scooters.
Okay, because generally all of the guys and people in motorsports have a background. They've done kind of all of this stuff. Now,
I fly airplanes, and I got a couple Triumph motorcycles. So.
That's what I'm saying. And I bet if I press you a little bit, you probably have a snowmobile too.
Not quite, but people at ABC Tool do.
Okay, I'm sorry, Angie?
I have a question. When we were standing up there watching them take off, I noticed that the lights went from red and then they went down, and then on the green you're supposed to go. But how does a racer keep the car straight if he's watching the light out of the corner of his eye?
It's a great question. Let's ask the driver. Did you hear the question?
Hear the question.
Okay, her question was that if you're watching the lights to get your signal to go, how can you make the car go straight if you're not looking where you're steering?
Your eyes are turned, not your head.
Get that? Your eyes are turned, not your head.
Oh, okay.
Okay, is there anything we haven't mentioned? Because we're at the end of the day here. I can't believe this. You know, we could have easily done 25 shows here today, and I want to apologize. There were at least 200 cars here that deserve some attention. We've got pro comps, and I've seen some bandoms here and all that. We decided to focus on the Jets today because this is a rare privilege having the Jet cars at a meet. We want to make sure we got all you guys in. Is there anything that I should be saying about the Jets that I haven't said? Of course, you guys haven't seen the interviews, so if there's something important, please say it. We got one here?
I believe this Jet car will be the fastest Jet car in the world.
Yeah, but your name is Sullivan. I cannot understand that. Yes, Dave.
How did you guys do today?
We won our 3 races today. We won all 3 races. This is actually the first time we raced the car in competition.
Oh, that's terrific.
We went 570s, 577 at 280.
You made a 280 pass?
277.
Good enough. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Lee Chin's got a question?
Question. You talked about the funny cars. What does that mean? What the difference of the funny cars and jet cars?
Boy, that's a whole nother show. Does anybody want to try it with about 3 words? Wait a minute, Angie.
It's funny as in peculiar looking, not as in ha-ha, right?
Very good. As a matter of fact, you're right. That's a whole nother show, but she's correct. It's not funny ha-ha. It's funny peculiar. Have I got it about right, guys? Okay, good enough. Anyway, yes, Christine.
I'd just like to say to the audience, if you have never seen a Jet car run in person, you've got to do it. It's incredible.
It will absolutely take your breath away.
I race them and I'll still watch them.
Isn't that something special when you do that?
It is.
They're as good or better than the nitro cars. I watch the nitro cars, but I can't afford to do that.
Again, we try never to say one's better than the other because I'll tell you, watching the nitro cars is something special also. You bet.
This is awesome. I'll watch either one.
You bet. Yes, Angie.
I have a question. Does this bring back memories from your racing days?
Can't hear you.
Does this bring back memories from your racing days?
Yeah, it really does, and that's a whole nother show too. Anyhow, folks, I hope you've enjoyed our look at the Jet cars today at Union Grove Drag Strip. I wish we had a 3-hour show. Unfortunately, this is it. I think we're going to be going back to the studio now, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Let's watch Chuck Shear and Chicago Rush in action.
That's it for this week.
If you ever get a chance to see the Jets in action, don't miss it.
I still don't believe what I saw.
Motorsports Unlimited is produced by Bill Wildt, president of the Motorsport Advancement Crusade.
This program made possible in part by support from ABC Auto Parts, located at 138th and Ashland Avenue in Blue Island.
This program made possible in part by support from Auto Magic Body Shop located in Franklin Park.
Great Lakes Dragaway in Union Grove, Wisconsin, affectionately known as The Grove, where the great ones run. Apologies to Jan Gabriel, once among half a dozen drag strips, now stands alone as the last remaining facility. We enjoyed our visit, hope you did too. And remember, while we looked at the crowd-pleasing jets today, everybody can drag race, from the motorcycles to the family station wagon. Hey, how about our brave Crusaderettes? Lee Chen, Chris Schutz, Lyle-Ann Seeger, Angie Kay, Jan Mailer, Ann Fuller. And talk about bravery, nobody got closer to the jets than our crew, Chuck Itzenthaler, Frank Lombardo, Mike Sabatino. A special thanks to Jerry Bryant and the Chicago AVs. They're trying to make us look professional. We thank you. And let's not forget the folks that put the music together for Motorsports Unlimited, Fireside Recording Studio in Westchester, Illinois, featuring the musical talents of Mike Preet, Mark DiMartino, Gary Manzara, Ray Fabry, Mike Sabatino, Mark Torp, Tony Plasnick, Bob Benson, and Jerry Herboard. Also making music for the show was Roger Pauly and Tony Caruso and The Locomotion. Me, I'm Carl King doing the talking. Bye-bye.
The Motorsport Advancement Crusade is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the preservation and enhancement of motorsport. We are entirely funded by voluntary contribution. For more information, you can write Motorsport, or you can write the whole thing if you'd like, Motorsport Advancement Crusade, but mail goes to us just fine, addressed Motorsport, P.O. Box 66242, Chicago, Illinois 60666, or just call at 1-312-478-4224. We enjoy hearing from our audience, and we encourage you to call or write.
So that's it, another edition of Motorsports Unlimited and the lovely ladies of motorsports. And be with us next week because we'll have something real exciting. Bill Wildt's going to have the lovely ladies, and just about anything can happen right here on Motorsports Unlimited. Every week at this time, we bring you the best in motorsports. So be seeing ya. Bye-bye, and keep on rocking.